World Cup fever is being overshadowed in Paris by a huge political storm involving a player convicted of a racially motivated attack, the French head coach and the French president himself.
It comes just as World Rugby was busy pushing the concept of inclusivity. Europe correspondent Lisette Reymer reports.
Now it's time we compete for something bigger.
World Rugby bosses woke up excited this morning.
Togetherness and unity.
Ready to debut a shiny new video featuring big promises and the big guns.
There's the Ruby Tui factor, obviously.
The Black Fern star front and centre of a new campaign.
Let's set an example.
Selling the Rugby World Cup.
As an inclusive, respectful tournament.
But it was a tough sell today of all days, with a storm erupting over the inclusion of a convicted racist in the French team. Lock Bastien Chaliero has been called up as an injury replacement, despite being handed a 6-month suspended prison sentence for a racially motivated attack on 2 former players in 2020.
Are you comfortable with a convicted racist taking to the field during this tournament?
Yeah. He has always denied any kind of a racist statement, so we should leave justice playing its role.
French politicians want him stripped of his World Cup cap, but as he is currently appealing his conviction, tournament bosses are grinning and bearing it.
That presumption of innocence continues because of the appeal that's taking place. So we have to respect that process, but yeah, absolutely no place for discrimination in our sport.
The French president was involved by lunchtime. Macron caught on camera alongside the coach at training, who was heard saying he must speak. If he has to cry, he has to cry. Within hours, he did. I am not a racist, the 31-year-old said. Rugby is a union of many communities, and that's the beauty of the sport.
Tournament organisers are adamant this World Cup will leave a positive social legacy. Global participation in the game increased 11% this year. But for that growth to continue, World Rugby knows the sport must be safe, inclusive and sustainable.
Doesn't matter what your background is, what colour you are, what religion, that actually when you put that jersey on, everybody's the same.
It's New Zealand France will meet first this weekend, and interest in Thursday's team namings is now supercharged. A convicted racist, far from the ideal candidate to be lining up for the blockbuster opener, let alone lifting the Webb Ellis Trophy at the end of it all.
Well, Lisette joins us live from Paris. And Lisette, World Rugby thinks the answer is for men to be more like the women.
Yes, that's right. World Rugby bosses were referencing the Women's World Cup in New Zealand yesterday as a great example for how athletes can use their platforms for good, praising the likes of Ruby Tui, but all of the players in that tournament for how they managed to use their personalities and their values to become such phenomenal role models on and off the field. For their part, the All Blacks have given absolutely no oxygen to this controversy at all. In fact, yesterday it felt like they were the only people in France not talking about it. As for whether or not the Frenchmen will actually see any game time this weekend against New Zealand, it's looking increasingly unlikely.
Lisette, tēnā koe.